Hi guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Queen's Essence Radio. My name's Chrisula.
And I'm Natasha, and we're two queens from Queens.
Talking about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. If you came back to join us for episode 2, thank you. Thank you for those to like and subscribe our last video. Don't forget to like this one. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more of us. So as you guys know, we promised you to be telling the truth, no bias over here, honey. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. On our last episode, we were discussing toxic masculinity and how something good can be taken too far. How if traditional masculinity is taken too far, it could become toxic. And we promised you guys on today's episode, we're going to be talking about feminism going too far and how that could also turn toxic. And we're going to segue and also discuss the topic of friendship breakups and toxic friendships. So let's get right into the good stuff. So last episode, guys, we had discussed Mr. Myron from Fresh and Fit as a perfect example of taking masculinity too far to the point where it becomes something that's toxic and something that's bad and basically evil.
I feel like toxic masculinity takes you from the alpha that you think you are, but you're really a beta.
100%.
Please remember that
100%.
when you're listening to these people.
Right. It's so true. It's so true. And that's what we were saying in the last episode. He wants to be an alpha so bad, but he's giving off beta energy. And I want to take that in as we talk about toxic feminism. There has been a huge flood I've noticed on my TikTok and Instagram feed of these very famous, they have a huge following, like these very famous female influencers. And I've seen so many videos, they basically discuss how if you're not fitting into this certain mold of what feminism is supposed to be, then you're not a real feminist, you're not pro-woman as a woman, and you're basically a woman hater, which is so not true. I saw a couple, there was this one saying like, if you're pro-life, you can't be a feminist. You can't love women. You can't support women. As a woman, how could you be pro-life? That does not just make you not a feminist or not a lover of women, or it's saying that you don't love yourself as a woman. That is not true. People have different things and ideals and morals, and everybody grew up differently. Everybody has a different mindset. Everybody has a different moral code that they stand by. But just because you're not fitting into this perfect mold on what a feminist is supposed to look like, that doesn't mean you can't be a lover of women. There was another one that we were talking about where a woman who wants a more traditional role to be a stay-at-home wife when she has kids, doesn't want to, work, that she wants her man to be the breadwinner, automatically you're not a feminist. How are you a feminist? How could you consider yourself a feminist? That is so not true.
It's not. And I feel like like you said, when you take those things to the extreme, that is when it becomes toxic. Because low-key, all women are feminists. We're all team girl, right. Girls rule. And honestly, if you're not that type of woman, I kind of do find it to be kind of odd, right, for you to not be a girl's girl, because I feel like that comes naturally to us as women. Women are naturally more nurturing. You even see that with women, how they socialize out. The whole you go into the girls' bathroom,
gotta go
club.
You don't go alone.
You go in the bathroom and all the girls, everyone's just vibing and having a good time, right, and singing together and dancing together. And these could be girls that you just met. Women are naturally we're like that with each other.
Right.
But then you have, the people who are not girls, or who just don't get it, who take it to that extreme. And it could turn into
now you're hating other women. Yeah.
Or being a pick-me.
Right. Because
you kind of want to appeal to the male gaze and what you think a man wants in a woman. It could go either way when you're not just being truly yourself.
Right.
I feel like at the end of the day, the main message is always just be true to yourself.
Right.
Because when you want to go and you want to follow and you want to listen to other people and you ignore your intuition and you ignore who you truly are, you're not going to be happy. And you're going to sound crazy, And
I feel like that's a good point that you just made. there's different forms of not being a true girl's girl or not being a true feminist. Like there is the one example that we were previously talking about where you exclude women from feminism or being a girl's girl because they have different things that they want in life, like being a traditional woman or being pro-life. But there's also that other side of it. And I feel like as being two women, having the female viewers, like you're going to know what we're talking about. There's also a different side to it where women hating, it's not just man to women. Like women hating is also very woman to woman. Mm-hmm. And it's not that only that one example that we were giving prior of like feminism in more of a political sense, but it's also in a sense of, women and how they associate with each other. And if you spread a certain type of jealousy or pick me, like Natasha was saying, a certain vibe where you are insecure and you want to tear other women down, that is not a true feminist. That is not a true girl's girl.
It's not.
That's the other side of it.
And guys, or anyone, if you are dating someone, and I don't even want to just say like, if you're dating a woman, because I feel like this could go for men too. If you're dating someone who takes pleasure out of bashing other people or feels the need to talk down about other people as a way to boost their confidence, that is a huge red flag. Mm-hmm. That is a huge red flag. You also are probably never going to be able to make this person happy because they're always going to find a problem.
Right.
They're always going to be comparing. They're always going to be looking out instead of looking in and seeing and learning about themselves.
Right.
That is such a red flag.
Big red flag.
Because there are some men out there who think that's something that is like attractive to do to, make their women feel better. Like, oh, look at her. She's ugly. She's this, she's that. Right. I would be so turned off. Like, why are we looking at other women?
Right. And
it's always even to point out that she's ugly. Like, who cares? Like, that would be so weird for me to be on a date and the guy talking bad about other people in the room.
It's always a red flag in any sense when you need to tear down someone else to feel better about yourself or to give yourself a confidence boost. If your confidence is reliant on you making other people feel negative, if you get like a high off of that, that's a form of toxic feminism that goes in between women.
Yes.
That's a big form of toxic feminism. That's like taking it to the other extreme. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Pearl from Just Pearly Things. Perfect freaking example of that.
Yes. I do want to bring up the video. So Chrissy sent me a video of Pearl, and she was like talking to
Michael Knowles.
Smart guy. And she brings up the of thinking that there should be mandatory paternity tests at birth and how this would benefit men so much because there's men out here taking care of kids that are not theirs and blah, blah, blah. And, the guy, Michael Knowles, his view of it was like seeing that is disrespectful to his wife. He's like, why would I ever make my wife take a paternity test or whatever? Like, that's, disrespectful to her.
He actually said, he's like, if I was to do that, that's basically calling my wife a whore.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I find to be so interesting and how one-sided Pearl is how many men out there refuse to take paternity tests.
That is so true.
How many men refuse to take paternity tests? So in her mind, she's just like, oh, this is just for the men. This is going to benefit the men. Please make it mandatory because honestly, I wouldn't have been offended if it's a mandatory thing and that's what we do. I wouldn't care. When I gave birth to my daughter, if we had to do a paternity test, I mean, he couldn't deny her if he even wanted to because they look so alike. But I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't even be offended, but it's that aspect of just seeing things from one-sided perspective. And it's because she's not like a womanly woman.
You could tell she's insecure.
Girl, and she's
insecure.
Yes, and she's one of those women, and she's always going to be confused. She's going to want to know why she has to work so hard for the things other women don't have to work hard for.
She's wondering why she has to work so hard to get picked, and she's still not picked.
Exactly. When there's other women who don't have to do any of these things, don't have to live up to these standards that, you have people on Fresh and Fit or these other alpha males want to make it seem like a woman has to be all these things. Mm-hmm. When there's women out here who are happy, who are thriving, who are in healthy marriages and relationships with partners who love them for all of those other reasons.
Right.
Not those traditional reasons. people need to understand that it's not like
it's not always that way. Like we said, everybody's different and what they look for is different. And Pearl is very, like you said, one-sided, and she's spreading this message to kind of like, oh, like I'm on the guy's side, I'm on, one of the boys. Meanwhile, it's so ironic. People have asked her, why aren't you in a relationship? Why aren't you married? If you have all these perfect things that men want, why are you not in a relationship? Why has no one put a ring on it? Why haven't these alpha males that you side with on Fresh and Fit, that you guys are so chummy, why haven't any of them cuffed you? Something's got to be missing. Make it make sense.
And in that movie Coming to America, where he picks his wife and he's like, oh, what's your favorite food? She's like, whatever your favorite food is. Oh, like, what do you want to do today? Whatever you want to do today.
I remember that.
Who wants to be with somebody like that? Who wants to be with somebody like that? That is so boring. So to sit there and think that, if you just fit into this box of what you think a man wants, he's going to be good to you. These videos of men, of these women being like, be your man's peace. When he comes home, he needs to be so comfortable with you and blah, blah, blah. And I agree with that. But also understand, and you got to be real with yourself. You could be doing all of those things. And if you are doing all of those things and your man doesn't appreciate you, sis, it's time to go.
Yeah.
He's never going to appreciate it. Exactly. He's never going to change.
Exactly.
And don't believe him when he tells you other women are willing to do this for him and it doesn't matter what you do. Please just understand. It's time to go.
Mm-hmm.
It's time to go. Pack it up.
Exactly. If you are doing these things, because yes, those things are good. Like when my man comes home from a long day at work, yes, I want to have his, food. I want to try to relax him. He had a tough day. Yes. But he appreciates that.
Exactly.
And he gives back and he reciprocates in other ways when I do that for him. Again, there's the balance. If you're doing all that stuff and you still are not getting treated right, you still ain't got the ring, then run it back. Like
it's time to go.
It's time to go. It's time to go. And Pearl also spread. I'm really curious to know if that girl has any friends, any female friends.
I feel like it would be kind of difficult for her to have friends because she comes off as jealous
and insecure.
And insecure.
And that kind of, let's use that as a segue to talk about the next topic that we wanted to discuss with you guys, which is so big, especially within female bonds and womanhood, is narcissistic toxic friendships and friendship breakups, because you have that in romantic relationships, but you very much can have that in friendships.
Low key, it could be worse.
Oh my God, I agree.
In a friendship, it could be worse because I feel like, sometimes people are willing to overlook things in a friendship that maybe they wouldn't overlook in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will speak from personal experience, where I used to tolerate a lot of disrespect, and I used to tolerate these things because I didn't want to lose people, and I wanted to be an individual who was compassionate and gave people grace and gave people understanding, because there have been times where in my life where I've gotten that. But when I realized that if I'm giving that love to these people and it's not being reciprocated, then maybe these aren't my people. You have to set boundaries.
Exactly.
Friendship is give and take. Sometimes it's going to be give, take. I'm not saying it's always going to, but what I'm saying is, there are certain things in female friendships, because we are such sensitive creatures by nature, that has to be reciprocated. There has to be a give and take. There has to be a flow. One person can't be giving forgiveness, understanding, XYZ all the time, and the other person's not willing to do that. Exactly. That means you got to go. So you got to set boundaries. And a big red flag that we were just talking about, if you get the sense, and I've learned this the hard way, if you get the sense of insecurity or jealousy from a friend, you may have to run.
Yes.
That is one of the biggest things, I think, in that causes toxicity in female bonds.
Because how many stories have we heard growing up also like watching like Lifetime movies and like crime shows where you see girls go over for a sleepover to link with their friends who they think are their friends, and they set them up. And a lot of times this is just out of jealousy of one person who's able to manipulate the whole group into being against you. And it's so scary. And I remember hearing those stories growing up, and I was very cautious and aware of these situations and that this can happen. If you feel like someone really doesn't vibe with you and there's no reason, you should really just stay away from them. You hear too many stories of people who like, I thought that was my friend and she just left me. I thought that was my friend, but I was drunk and she just left me in a room with a bunch of guys and I don't even know what happened. Like literally, I was on Twitter and this girl posted the video on some type of flex, like, oh, you see, this is the type of person that you are. She literally set her friend up to get assaulted. There's videos of it and everything. And she did that to her. Women do that to each other. Like, these are like the type of like toxic friendships and toxic people that you really want to stay like far away from. And see the signs. It's those little things.
It is those little things, because jealousy and insecurity can hide in compliments and it can hide in support. But there are little subtle things that will come out when someone's jealous of you that'll give you those signs, that'll give you that wake-up call. For example, from a personal experience, I had a friend and I was like this with this friend for like 7-8 years, which is a pretty long run.
That is a long time.
A pretty long run. And she had shown me, you know, support and you know, love and whatever. And I really feel like it's easy to be someone's friend when things are good, but true friends come out when you're going through a rough patch, when things get a little rough. That shows, if the person folds, that shows that that's your real friend. Went through a little rough patch. She ends up telling me like, you talk about your accomplishments too much.
Can you guys imagine someone telling you that?
A best friend telling you that, oh yeah, when you talk about your accomplishments, like it brings down the mood. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Shorty like, but when you talk about yours, I'm so happy. And I when I got off that phone call, I knew I was not going to talk to this person probably ever again. Especially because there have been conversations already where I had mentioned certain things to her about like similar scenarios. And it was just too much. Like if you have a friend that it does not clap for you when you accomplish something, that's not happy for you, that does not partake in your joy, and they try to bring you down, or they try to hide haterade in the form of jokes, that's another red flag. You got to look out for that. But those are the subtle things. That was someone who was in my life for 7-8 years. But it took that coming out in a casual conversation, a slip up where I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, those are the people who will like sabotage you and be like, oh, that was a mistake. Oh, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
Just stay away from those people, because you have people who are like fair weather friends. And then you also have people who love drama. So you got the fair weather friends who only want to be there when it's up. When you got money to spend and you can go out and you're feeling good and you're looking good and everything is okay. That's when they want to be around to ride your coattails and go along for the ride. And then you got the people who love the drama and want to know about everything that's going on. Don't talk to me about your accomplishments. I don't want to hear that, because misery loves company. So all they want to hear about is all the drama. Oh, tell me about your man. Oh, you fighting with your family? You arguing with your mom? Oh, you fighting with your other friend? Oh, you lost your job? You having problems at work? Oh, tell me. Yeah, be weary of those. But then when it comes to, oh my God, actually, I got a promotion at work.
I got a new car.
I got a new car.
I got a raise.
Or I left that toxic situation that I was in. I left that guy who was stressing me out. Now all of a sudden they can't relate to you anymore. You don't hear from that person as much anymore. Or when you do talk to them, they want to bring it up again. They want to bring up things that you don't want to talk about or you want to move past.
Ooh, that's
Pay attention to those types of things.
Yes, that's a big one. I actually think that's one of the most horrible things you can do to someone. If someone's come so far from who they used to be and they've conquered their own internal battles in their life, and you keep throwing it in their face, that's a red flag.
People grow.
Yep.
People
grow.
Move on. So for you to hold on and constantly, like she said, bring up a situation that happened 10, 15, 20 years ago, like, we're not even the same people anymore.
Right.
I'm not even the same person I was when I was 19, 20, 21 years old. We've gone through so much growth and change in a positive way that why would you want to be with someone who wants to stay back in the day?
And there's a reason why they still want to re-emerge that past version of you that you don't even relate to anymore. You don't even carry the baggage of anymore. There's a reason why people want to keep bringing up that past version of you and those past mistakes, because they want to continue to ride that narrative that you're still that person, which is why they still try to like re-emerge that. And that's why they still talk about it. That's why, because they're insecure about where they are in their life, and they don't like the fact that you've grown. They don't like that you know that saying,
like, people want to see you do good, but not
never better than them.
And those kinds of people,
they gotta
if you one of those watching the video right now, exit the room, X out. We don't need you watching the video. We're good. Cheers.
You gotta go. Bye.
Yeah, you really need to be wary of those, and I feel like a lot of times those people will like hold on to the fact that you've been friends for so long.
Absolutely.
Which makes it harder to end that friendship.
Oh, 100%.
Because sometimes when you really care about someone, you want to look past the negative. You focus more on the positive and all the fun things you've done together. And all the bonding moments that you've had. And sometimes that can shadow, you know, it could like cloud your mind from the right judgment that you need to make of this person. And
that goes right back to like what I was saying before. Like, we look past so much because we don't want to lose people we love. And you want to be someone who extends grace, understanding, and care for those you love and care for. But if that's not being reciprocated and you're not growing together, well, then it's okay to grow apart. And that's just what it is.
Like you were saying, like, you want people to give you the patience that you would want.
Exactly.
But sometimes people take your kindness for weakness.
For weakness, precisely. And then there comes a point where I think we as individuals grow. I mean, I am speaking from personal experience, and I grew to a point where it's like, we got boundaries now. Like, we're not, I don't want to, I know what I want and don't want in my life. And that's what you have to select with people. You have to know what kind of people you want and don't want in your life. Going back to what Natasha was saying with fair weather friends, I think it's also something that happens in society nowadays. It's also so important to separate who's really your friend and who's just an acquaintance, or who's just like a buddy that you could go grab a drink with, because the title of friendship, and we were talking about this, is just thrown around too loosely nowadays.
An acquaintance is not a bad title.
It's not.
Acquaintance is not a bad title at all. Some people are just your acquaintance. We're cool. We're like friends. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's my friend. But like, maybe I haven't seen you in 5 years. Like, let's be for real. There's some people I have not seen in years, but I have mad love for them. We're mad cool. You're an acquaintance. If I saw you, it would probably be nothing but love, you know? But you're still an acquaintance. That's not
a bad thing.
You know?
Yeah. Because with friendships, like, I feel like the title of friendship goes like into that it's a more intimate bond than just being an acquaintance and, you know, someone you could just sit around, have a drink and gossip. But there's something deeper to it that gives the title of friends. You know, it's being able to also connect on multiple levels and outside of whatever setting that maybe you met that person in. Right. You know, like me and Natasha, we met at work almost 10 years ago, and we're still friends. And we've had, you know, going what we were saying into understanding and compassion. There was a time where I was in a really dark place in my life. There was a lot going on. I was in a really, really dark place, and I pushed people I loved away from me, Natasha being one of them. And when I came back around and said, this is what's happening and these are the lessons I learned and I'm sorry I pushed you away, she extended that grace and compassion and understanding. And that's what kept our friendship going. Likewise, if it was to happen vice versa, I would do the same. That's why the friendship lasted that long, because when you're having intimacy with someone, that's what you give each other. But it can't be all give. It can't be one-sided.
And it has to be genuine.
It has to be a genuine love, correct. Because that's what made the friendship last.
Exactly. You know, when we did have that conversation, I felt that she was being genuine. There are people who are going to try and come and apologize to you.
Play in your face.
With like some half-ass apology and not wanting to take any type of accountability for what they've done or have a real conversation. And I'm not even necessarily saying like cut that person off, but maybe they need to be an acquaintance.
Yeah.
Until they have grown and they're ready to understand that what they've done and take accountability. Because some people need to grow into that. Some people still need to make mistakes. They still need to fuck up.
Right.
I don't need to be around for it. Because why?
Right.
You know, and it's not even being a bad friend. Some people need to just go through their shit. Let them go through it.
And grow. Because it, like, for example, in my life,
maybe you don't have a place in their life anymore.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's okay.
And that's fine.
And like things ending, like, I feel like nowadays it's like, there has to be beef. There doesn't have to be beef.
People grow apart. It's natural.
People grow apart. And also if someone feels like, you know, they've had certain conversations with you and like, there's just certain things that, okay, I could see this person has a lot of growing to do. They don't really fit what I need in my life. I've had X, Y, and Z conversations with them. They don't fit the place. They don't bring out what I want brought out of me right now. So I'm going to distance myself. That's not a bad thing. That's not really not a bad thing.
I feel like it's okay to be selfish.
Yeah.
It's okay to be selfish if that's what it's going to take for you to grow and get out of a position that you're in that you don't want to be in. And the people who really care about you are going to understand that, even if they cannot help you. And the only way that they can help you is to step back and let you do that on your own, you know?
Yeah, kind of like go through what you're going through and learn what you need to learn. And, you know, when they're ready and they've learned that, they're going to come back around. Because that does happen. That happened in the case of me and Natasha. I know plenty of people who have been through that, and it's very true. And piggyback on what you were saying with accountability, that's also a big thing. When it comes to friendships, if that's really your friend and they made a mistake, they're going to take accountability. But I don't mean you gotta watch out for that. Because there are cases where people take accountability, but they don't really take accountability because they're, oh, I'm sorry for this, but I'm gonna do it to you again and again and again.
You were like a little kid and they were like, and you said, I'm sorry, and you're like, for what? For what? Why are you sorry?
Right.
What did you do? Why was that wrong?
Right.
Honestly, some of you need to talk to yourselves like you're a little kid and go through it.
It's true.
And be like, okay, like take a step back and be real with yourself and be like, okay, what did I do? Why was it wrong? Let me see how this affected other people and not only myself.
Right.
You know, because naturally we're humans. We are selfish.
Right.
That is natural
survival instinct
in us. We are selfish creatures. Okay, but we are also very loving creatures also. Not everybody deserves that love.
Right.
So I feel like if you have a friendship right now and you're watching this and you're like, oh my God, I can relate. I have a friend like that. Right now, it may be time
to cut that cord.
To cut it off.
Right.
Maybe not forever.
But for right now, if you feel like there's this person's constantly making you feel a type of way and you've communicated with it and they don't respect certain boundaries, they don't, or things are very one-sided, like when they got a problem with you, which I have experienced before, when they got a problem with you, you try your best to correct it. But when you present things that, you know, have bothered you, it's the same thing over and over. Those types of things gotta go. You gotta set those boundaries.
Distance makes the heart grow fonder. Sometimes you need to remove yourself from a situation so people can understand what it is that you bring to the table.
Agreed.
You know, because some people just don't appreciate it and they think you're never going to leave. This person's just never going to leave.
100%.
They need me.
100%.
You know, nobody needs anybody.
Yeah. And also, one thing I want to bring up, if you are chasing someone or you feel like you need to chase, because that doesn't just happen in relationships, it happens in friendships. Like, if you need to feel like you need to like chase for contact, chase to hang out, like that's not really your friend. That's not really your friend.
Some people aren't that. Honestly, some people could probably say that about me because I am not a huge communicator. I suck at phone calls, text messages, like remembering shit. I'm very much in my own mind, in my own world a lot.
But I feel like when it matters, you got it. I feel like whatever, when it matters though, she got it. She got me with the text back.
I know, but I'm like really bad at that. Like me and Chrissy communicate pretty often, and the same with my other best friend Eve. We talk almost multiple times a day, every day. Sometimes we'll be talking on Instagram, a conversation here, in our text messages, a completely different conversation. Yeah. Like, but there's some people who I won't talk to literally maybe for like a year, no contact. When we do link up again, it's like nothing ever happened. Those are the types of friendships that are okay with me. I'm not one of those people who's like always going to be hitting you up, always talking to you, especially if I don't see you all the time.
Right.
And I know it sounds so horrible, and I'm sorry that I'm like that. It's not my fault, but I'm definitely like one of those friends. Like I can be so bad with like communication and communicating.
Low maintenance friends.
I need low maintenance friends.
Low maintenance friend.
Because I'm a low maintenance friend. You don't need to hit me up all the time. We don't need to talk all the time. But when I do see you, it's only going to be love.
I could say that's
it. We were like that for a while where, I mean, our friendship gradually came about. It wasn't like off rip. We was like inseparable.
Yeah.
At work, yes. Like immediately, like when we would be like, oh my God, are we on the same ship together? We would be so upset when we were not on the same ship together. It was so boring. Yeah.
It was so, I would be like, and Nat's not in. My day's gonna suck.
Or they would like do it where like we're only together for like 2 hours because like one of us is closing or one of us opens.
Hate that,
like, why are we doing this? Why are we playing this game?
They didn't want the power team.
They really didn't.
They didn't want the power team. But I feel like that honestly also ties into what we were saying before, like what one person might want and need might be different for another person. Even in friendships, like like our relationship, we could do the low maintenance thing, but somebody else may not be that way. They may need more from their friends. They may not care.
You know what's so weird is we can do the low maintenance thing because we do communicate with each other. Like we both know like what's going on in each other's lives and how busy we both are. Yeah. You know, so it's like, okay, like I know Chrissy's doing this. She's like, I already know Natasha has Zayel. She has her man. She has all these other things that she's dealing with. And she has her man. She has, you know, she's building her future. She's doing her own thing. She's working on her music. We're working on this together, but if we weren't working on this together, we might not see each other as often.
Right.
But that doesn't affect our friendship
because when we do link up, it's like no time's passed. We catch up, we have a good time.
Also, we both are positive thinkers and we're working towards a goal.
Yeah.
I don't think I can necessarily be friends with someone who does not have that mindset. Could we be cool? Could we be acquaintances? Yes. But I don't think I could be friends and spend time with someone who did not have like a go-getter mindset and wasn't a positive person and did not have, you know, goals that they want to achieve and are actively trying to reach them.
And that's important. That's actually it's so important to have friends that like, to help bond, to have certain similarities, like to have certain things that you bond over, hobbies, things that you both like to do. Those are how things are going to naturally that's how the love kind of grows over doing those mutual things.
And that just makes me think, because sometimes you may not fit into your friend group because those are not your people.
Friends, right? Those aren't for you.
You know, when growing up, my mom put me in a lot of activities, which allowed me to have a lot of friends outside of school. So I was not reliant on just the people who I went to school with to be my friends. And I feel like that's really important to, if you can, put your kids in other activities and have them do other things so they don't feel like, okay, I need to fit in with these group of people and I need to change myself to fit in with these group of people so I have friends. I was like, okay, I got friends at school, but I also have friends outside of school. Like I'm going to go and do, you know, go to my sewing classes and my fashion classes and go hang out with my friends that I met from camp and be able to do other things and have other experiences. It's really important. So sometimes if you feel like you're stuck and your friend group doesn't like you, maybe you do have to break off. Look in your community, see if there's people who are into the things that you're into.
Right.
You could join like a little club. If you like to read, you could join a book club. maybe they meet once a week to discuss that, and now you're around a group of girls or a group of people who are into the things that you're into.
Right.
As aside from your other friends who are like, oh no, we don't want to do that. We just want to go rip and run in the street and act fucking crazy. And that's not what you want to do.
Right.
You can remove yourself from that situation.
Exactly.
You know?
And it's also important, like, to like find people that fit what you need and what you want and your boundaries. But it's also important to realize that you don't need to identify yourself with people. You have to identify yourself and be your own best friend. That's how you start. That's how you start a healthy bond, by being your own best friend.
Exactly.
You really do have to be okay with being alone. Like, I love to be by myself.
I love to be by myself.
It's great.
I'm an only child, but Chrissy is not. She has two siblings.
And I still love to be by myself.
Yes.
And I was not. So this is what I'm trying to explain. When I was younger and lost and, you know, in a darker place in my life, I could not be alone. I couldn't be alone. I needed constant camaraderie. I needed to constantly be with friends, surrounded by people, because there were things that I was running away from. I didn't know who I was. I didn't want to face the dark stuff that I was running from. And it really came to like the healing started by looking at myself in the mirror, understanding what I didn't want, what my moral code was, what my characteristics were, the good and the bad, what I want to work on, what I like about myself, and becoming who I wanted to be, and coming to a place where I loved myself, and then I loved my own company in return. So that's important.
It is important. And I know it sounds like so corny and cliche,
it's so true
to say, you know, like, in order to, you know, you need to love yourself first.
It's true.
Like, that self-love is so important. And I feel like my mom really wanted to instill that in me, you know, that self-love. Because like she said, sometimes you don't want to be by yourself because you don't want to be alone with your thoughts.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes you don't know how to like regulate them or how to like release certain things. And then the friends around you don't support you or want to call you a weirdo or whatever. Or maybe the cause of your stress, maybe the cause of your insecurities. I mean, not to bring up like Mean Girls, like the movie, but like low key, that was not her friend group that she should have been in. She was changing herself to fit into a toxic friend group. None of those girls liked themselves. They barely liked each other.
Right.
And there's so many friend groups that are like that.
Yeah.
And it's almost just seen as like normal, as part of girlhood. And low key, it kind of is, because that is where you start to find yourself and who you like and like the type of people that you want to be around. But it really is like that movie. Like, you see all these different cliques. And again, she vibes more with the other group of kids. So she could have, you know, moved and been with them. But then here comes that toxic friendship of you wanting to be in a situation that's not meant for you, trying to force the fit. And look what happens in the movie and in real life.
And it's really true. And then you got to look at it also, like she was saying, it may seem corny, but like how we were explaining, like, jealousy and insecurities is a virus to your relationships. If you love yourself, you're not going to spread that. You won't be that toxic individual. And you're also going to have the self-recognition to know when someone doesn't love themselves and they're projecting it onto you. And that's so important. When you have that self-love, you can identify both those things, which is going to breed you to be the best type of friend you can be, and also breed you to know when someone is toxic and they don't have that self-love and they're projecting it onto you, and you got to go.
If you take anything away from this video, remember, happy people do not go out their way to make others miserable or make them sad or make them uncomfortable or tear them down. When someone is truly happy with themselves, they don't do that. If anything, they want to spread that positivity. They're not trying to bring negativity into the room. You could feel it on some people, like they just walk in and there's like a dark cloud. You know, and then for themselves, they think they're low, they think they're slick, and nobody could tell their true intentions. But it's just like,
we can identify
it's just like coming off of you. We could feel it, we could see it, and you can tell by people's actions. You can only be fake for so long. And I feel like for some people, it gets to the point where it is easy to just break off the friendship. Like in your case, where it was like, okay, like, this is not a problem for me. I don't even need to talk to you anymore. I don't even need to be your friend anymore. Yes. You showed me dead in my face the type of person that you are. Right. So it was not even hard for you to just be done with it.
Once I realized that I gave these people more grace, compassion, understanding, and love and patience than they were willing to give me. And once I also, there were certain boundaries crossed, like trying to destroy my character to people and all that. Like once I realized that I was giving more love, giving more understanding, giving more grace, giving more compassion, it became something hard. But then once it clicked, it was so easy. I was like, you know what? Right now, we are not compatible. We are not in the same place, and you gotta go. And that's just what it is. And sometimes it's got to be like that. And there's still, and like we said, there's no beef. There doesn't have to be beef. You don't have to hate people, wish them the best. But if you see that right now, you're not compatible, it's okay to say goodbye. If you don't grow together, grow apart.
Reiterate the no beef part, because there are people who are toxic. If you're getting rid of the toxic person, they are going to try to manipulate the situation, right, to make it seem like it's something more than it is.
Right.
They're the ones with the beef. They're the ones with resentment. They're the ones who feel some type of way.
Right.
Not you. So I would make it a point to be like, it is very one-sided.
I think the biggest,
how you feel. Like, I have moved on from this situation. Right, I'm not thinking about it anymore. This just shit is not, I feel lighter. Like, that weight is not on me anymore. And you know, if you're one of those people who wants to hold on to things that don't matter, like, let it go. Like, you're going to feel so much better letting it go. Move on, move past it. That's life. It doesn't always work out the way you want it to. It's not always going to be your way. Let it go, because that's one of like the best feelings, of kind of just being like, you know what? Let me just free myself from this. Let me just let it go. Everyone has situations that are annoying and you want it to be your way.
Exactly.
And it didn't turn out your way. So like, now you feel some type, I feel some type of way. Just let it go.
Yeah.
And move on. Life is really long. Life is beautiful. You're going to meet a lot of people. You don't need to hold on to little things that happened a long time ago.
Right.
Let it go.
Right. Right. Especially if you love and care for certain individuals, and you know those individuals give you, like I said, grace, compassion, forgiveness when you needed it, then be sure to give it back. Don't hold grudges. That's not how. Pride, jealousy, insecurity, those things ruin relationships, romantic and friendships, for sure.
Sometimes you have to love people from afar.
Yeah.
I still have love for you. I wish you nothing but the best, but I cannot have you close to me.
Right. I want to see you eat, but not on my table. It can't be at my table right now because there's something going on. And maybe when everything works out, you can come back and you could share a meal with me. But for now,
when you appreciate my table.
When you appreciate my meal.
Exactly. That's when you could come back.
That's when you can come back.
Some people, you just have to love them from afar.
Exactly.
And like, going about that friendship breakup can be really difficult, because sometimes when you're friends, it's like a relationship where it's like deep.
Exactly.
Like, the roots are deep, and it's not so easy just to cut the tree off, but then you still got the roots in the ground.
Right, right.
That's where the feelings and the emotions and everything is.
Right.
So it's not always easy just to cut someone off and end a toxic friendship, or end any type of toxic relationship. It's going to be difficult, because sometimes those people have planted like little seeds in your mind, you know, and you're thinking about, okay, like, we've had all these good moments, we've had all these good times, but you really do need to be selfish in those moments and put yourself first. And even if you got to take baby steps into not being friends with this person anymore, even if it's like, okay, I'm not going to answer their phone call every time they call me.
Right.
I'm not going to, go hang out with them and go do something I don't want to do, or I feel uncomfortable doing.
Right.
I'm going to just learn to say no.
Yeah.
Little baby steps. Sometimes it is rip the Band-Aid off and just block them on everything and never talk to them again. But some friendships, it's not that easy to do. Yeah,
especially when it's long-term friendships or people that you shared a lot of intimate memories with and a lot of times together. But if you're going to take one thing, like she said, out of this video, guys, when it comes, these are the things that you need to look out for within your circle, because your circle, these are the people that you share your deepest, darkest moments with, that you share that rawness, that realness. And you do not want to show that to the wrong individual, because wrong individuals, they'll use that against you.
Yes.
And that's not what you want around you.
Yes.
So, like, guys, in conclusion, love yourself, spread self-love, and don't accept things in your life that doesn't fit the person that you want to be. Don't accept things in your life that doesn't give you the positivity and the positive energy and the good feelings that you exude onto other people.
Having the right people in your life and around you make the world of a difference with how you move.
100%.
You know?
100%.
Having that support system, having people who believe in you and are able to give you constructive criticism, who are able to show up for you and be there for you
and support you
and even it's in the little things, as like, let me go show some love to your page, let me support it, let me give you a like. These like little things that you could do to like love people from like a distance, just to show people love. It doesn't always have to be like an everyday in your face type of friendship. There's like little things, and if you have people in your life who can't even do those little things, it's crazy.
And on that note, thank you guys for joining us on episode 2 of Queen's Essence Radio. 2 queens from Queens, New York, bringing you the good, the bad, and the ugly, and everything in between.
And as always, we will be updating our playlist. If you did not check out week 1, I don't know what you're doing. Go ahead. We have it linked on iTunes right now. We are working on getting it on Spotify. I know not everybody uses iTunes. I think we could put it on YouTube too. I'm not too sure. I got to see how to put it on YouTube. But definitely check out our playlist.
We got some
good vibes throughout the whole week.
Yeah. And join us on episode 3. We will see you guys soon. Bye, guys.